Many thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. It's now time to look at the top stories on the front pages of the Nigerian newspapers that we have with us. Let's check out The Nation now. The lead story is captioned, "Why Dangote Refinery Petrol is yet to hit the market," as agreement on pricing templates between firm and government yet to be reached. Government rolls out sale of 30,000 metric tons of rice for 40,000 naira. Also goes on to explain delay in import duty waiver policy. How social media is fueling banditry, the army proffers reasons. On the Emefiele saga, court fixes Thursday to hear applications on forfeited assets. All right, next is Blueprint. Blueprint says police placed 20 million bounty on wanted Briton Nigerian over plot to topple Tinubu, names Wine Obiyan as culprits. Copan condemns attempt. On flooding, Dadin Kowa Dam on verge of collapse. Federal government alerts death toll rises to 200. Over 208,000 displaced in 28 states. And Northern governors review security report, vow to combat terrorism. Right, there are many more stories on the front page of Blueprint. You should check that out. Next is Daily Trust. Boko Haram kills many farmers. Others in fresh Yobe attack, burn houses and shops. State government plans mass burial. Insecurity disrupting agricultural activities. That's according to Northern governors. IGP Egbetoku gets 3-year tenure extension. Amidst fuel scarcity, NNPCL to become sole buyer from Dangote Refinery. Yaradua's mother, all right, that's also another story. All right, Olamide, over to you.
So I'm here with the leadership, and the big story here is still on the fuel crisis. Shatima summons the Pobere-Kyari NSA, demands explanation on new pump price. Commuters stranded as transport fares soar. Lawmakers condemn price hike. And another story here says Imit gets 50% raise in feeding allowance. 3 die in Kano building collapse. That's a sad one there. The Bank of Industry raises 1.43 billion euros global loan syndication drive. Those are the major stories on the front page of the leadership. To Nigerian News Direct for today, the federal government not responsible for hike in petrol price. That's according to the minister. Says sector is deregulated. We're not at our full market price of petrol yet. ACCI warns of looming economic crisis as Atiku calls for enhanced support for private sector. Commends Dangote Refinery. Do not let flood meet you unprepared, Nemera alert state. On the Rivers crisis, Clark calls for Wike's arrest over inciting comments to set PDP-governed states on fire. Lagos State government signs MOU with the MOFI, Chinese firm, as a Green Line Metro project takes off. Some stories on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. To the Daily Times. The big story here says a clerk to IGP arrests Wike for threatening to make PDP states ungovernable. That's on the Daily Times. Says FCT ministers factional PDP Congress in Rivers a nullity. I'm out of active politics but cannot keep silent on anything that affects Rivers, Nigeria. The Pobere attributes hike in petrol price to deregulation, not shy, afraid of constitutional review, restructuring agitations. On the Rivers State local government election, court reserves judgment in APC suit against INEC. President Tinubu to African leaders, we must embrace multilateralism as to innovate and also to secure sustainable peace and development. EFCC once designated non-financial business operators against money laundering. Some stories on the front page of the Daily Times. What do you have again, Kemi?
All right, let's go back to Daily Trust and see the top stories there. Petrol will be available by weekend. That's on Daily Trust. The minister says price hike shoots up costs of foodstuff. Beans hits 200,000 naira a bag in Kano and Lagos State. Terrorists enslaving us to work on our farms. Niger State residents are saying the naira crashes to 1,639 to the dollar at parallel market. Businesses disrupted as Kwara tricycle riders protest fuel price hike. All right, that's on Daily Trust. Next is The Nation newspaper. NNPC ties Dangote petrol price to forex rates. That's the lead story there, which goes on to add that the state oil firm begins lifting Dangote Refinery Petrol September the 15th. Vessels begin offloading, I should say, as queues worsen. On terrorism financing, police to quiz Ajero September the 25th. Reps back ban on under 18 SSCE UTME candidates. Massive flooding to hit 7 states soon, says government. And ICPC grills Ngige over NSITF contracts. All these and more on the Punch newspaper. And next off, all right, Olamide, let's check yours out now.
All right, so let's quickly go to the first news. And the big story here is saying Yoruba elders urge President Tinubu act now. Nigerians suffering deeply. No lights, no fuel, no food. Petrol will be available by weekend. Petroleum Minister assures Nigerians. Arrest Wike, charge him for treason. Edwin Clark tells Inspector General of Police. Nigerians going through a lot revert to old petrol price. Reps beg the federal government NNPCL. No fuel lifting yet. Contract negotiations with the NNPCL ongoing. That's according to Dangote Refinery. Heartbreaking loss. How Funab University student was gruesomely murdered. ICPC questions Ngige over alleged corruption in the NSITF contract awards. ECOWAS committed to good governance, combating terrorism. President Tinubu is saying. And outside Nigeria, Putin pledges backing for Kamala Harris in U.S. elections. Let's go to the Platform Times. Abiodun budgets nearly 1 billion naira for 3 non-existent ministries in 2024. That's according to an investigation on the Platform Times. Emefiele court fixes September 12 for hearing on forfeited assets. We've supplied Dangote 30 million barrels of crude for September-October. NNPCL says houses will not farm after killing bandit leader Tuji Bello. Court holds Nigeria Scout Association amid allegations of 300 million naira misappropriation, according to the Platform Times. Coalition demands full investigation into sponsorship of terrorism in the Northwest. Court remands passed over alleged rape in Ondo, and flood takes over 5 communities in Yobe. And finally, what I have with me here is the Nature News. Do you have anyone with you, Kemi?
All right, let's see this Nigeria now, which has as its lead story, fuel price crisis not our making. That's according to Minister Lokpobiri, going on to say we do not fix prices. Poverty will be worsened. That's still an insistence from the Trade Union Congress, as well as the Minority Caucus of the House of Reps, saying it's grossly insensitive as the Reps Minority Caucus go on to demand an urgent reversal of the fuel price hike. Africa-China trade partnership hits $280 billion. Court reserves ruling in Binance executive application over $34.4 million alleged fraud. NEMA confirms 2 dead, 2 injured in Kano building collapse. And Oyo demolishes structures harboring illegal diesel marketers. On the front page of New Telegraph, Lokpobiri meets Shetima Ribadu as well, both promising availability of fuel by the weekend, says government not fixing prices. Sector deregulated already. Reverse insensitive price hike now. Reps Caucus tells Tinubu. In the meantime, transporters stop operation in Kwara. And Robert Clark tells IGP to arrest Wike over what he calls threat to put fire in states. On substandard certificates, organized private sector speaks on degrees from Benin Republic and others. Controversy trails World Bank $433 million fund for Nigerian farmers' census. All right, finally, with me is News Hub, the daily news hub, that is. Fuel will be available by the weekend, Minister assures Nigerians after meeting Shetima, Ribadu, Kyari and others, as Tinubu orders NNPCL and stakeholders to address fuel scarcity and the issue of pricing. Just beside the masthead, Commonwealth Secretary General Gambian Group opposes Foreign Affairs Minister's candidacy, petitions the Commonwealth heads of government. Still on Daily News Hub, NNPCL supplied Dangote Refinery 30 million barrels of crude. That's according to an official. NNPC yet to start lifting our petrol. That's according to Dangote. Labour Party meeting convened by Abia Governor is illegal, says Abure. Obasanjo, Sambo, Oshibaju and others condole Yaradua's family in Katsina. And still on the fuel price hike, transporters, artisans lamenting, saying this development has killed their businesses. Federal government increases prison inmates feeding allowance by 50%. We said that already. And finally, Burkina Faso issues new passport without ECOWAS logo. All right, so those are the papers this morning. Those are the top stories. Of course, there is still much more than the headlines, so don't run with the headlines. You really need to check up on all these stories to read up